So my name's Angelina, like they mentioned, I specialize in web design and marketing, and I'm one of the Denver Shakers here at Denver Great Minds. When Jessica asked me to speak at today's event, I felt very honored because if you can't tell by looking at me already, I'm fairly young to be standing up here, and I really don't have decades of experience, so I'm not going to pretend that I do. But what I do have is an old soul and an immense amount of passion for helping business owners. So hopefully with what I say today, some of you can take it home and actually apply it to your own businesses. One of the things is with the topic that was chosen, Jessica, it was kind of difficult to actually come up with a speech for it because the topic is how to find the right customers. That's a really hard question to answer. Like, how do you find the right customers? And then I thought about it. Maybe it's not about finding the right customers at all. Maybe it's about the right customers actually finding you. How do we do that? Like, think of the biggest companies in the world. You have Apple, Nike, Coca-Cola. These companies, they aren't looking for customers really. At this point, customers are finding them. They're going to the fridge at a convenience store and they're getting a Coca-Cola. I remember working in the cell phone industry and people would line up in the middle of the night just to get the new iPhone. And you can only get one per person. So these people would come with their whole families just so they could each get one phone. I would come up to the line and ask the person in the front, hey, how long have you been standing out here for? They tell you, hey, I've been out here since 12 in the morning, got my little camping chair and a bunch of blankets to keep me warm. How do we find those kinds of loyal customers where they're coming to us? I think that's kind of the goal. I could stand here and tell you, hey, you need web design, you need marketing, you need SEO, because this is things that I specialize in. But everyone knows you need those kind of things. I'm not here to tell you that. What I'm here to talk about is what I like to call the obviously not so obvious, otherwise everyone would be doing it. So one of the things that these companies are doing, I guess I should ask, what do you guys think these companies are doing that is so right? What is it that they're doing other than spending millions of dollars on marketing? What do you think that they're doing? Anyone? They know who they are, exactly. That's one of the things. I think what it came down to is that they know who they are and they provide value above anything. Oftentimes, like when I think of a commercial, for example, we were talking about Apple here, an iPhone commercial, they have a new release. When you think of a commercial for them, do you envision, prices or features? Those are some of the things, but no. If my guess is correct, you're probably envisioning someone that, like a little kid, FaceTiming their grandparents that live 1,000 miles away, or somebody recording a video on their new iPhone of like the Red Hot Chili Pepper concert at Red Rocks or something. It's experiences. And these companies, what they've done is they've really mastered the art of providing value, so much so that they could sell the same exact phone to hundreds of thousands of different people in different ways, and it applies to each one of those people. So I think in the business, in the field of finding customers, it's important to not sell yourself as a feature, as a list of things that you can offer, because that list of things means nothing to people. Features don't sell, however, solutions do. So I mentioned that I worked in the telecommunications industry. That was actually my first sales job. I sucked. I really sucked when I first started. I'm a nerd. Jimmy said that I started doing technology classes when I was 12. So yeah, I'm a nerd. And my sales pitch was very nerdy because I thought that that's what people cared about. So when I first started, somebody came in, they needed a phone. I tell them, yeah, so this phone, it has a 3,500 milliamp battery. This one has a 3,000 milliamp battery. This has a 24 megapixel camera. It would just be, I'm already like losing some of you just saying the story because it's very boring, okay? Nobody wants to hear about that stuff. So eventually I learned that 99% of people don't care about features. They just want to know how is this going to benefit their lives. So what I started doing is in 3 months, I switched from talking about megapixels, gigahertz, that sort of stuff, to talking about here's how this is going to help your life with your lifestyle. Here's how it applies to you specifically. And my sales showed the numbers were actually better. I think that's something I had to learn in my business. And I had to relearn that as a business owner. I think most of us, we get too caught up on selling features that we forget about actually selling ourselves. So that brings me to the 7 steps on how to find the right customers so that eventually the right customers can actually find you. Less work for you. So step number 1. The first thing you have to do before you even think about finding the right customers is finding who is not the right customer. I had this mistake, and I'm sure many of you have as well, where I thought I wanted everyone. Anyone that wants a website or SEO, let's get them. Quickly I realized there's people that I would literally pay to not have them as my customer anymore because they were not worth my time. Let's actually go and name some red flags that might be a bad customer. Phil, I know you're speaking next. Do you have any? You work with lawyers usually.
Anything involving scope creep, where they're starting to ask you to do more than what you.
Exactly. Go be above and beyond what you're initially assigned to, trying to push the limits, right? Yep. Anyone else have any examples?
Unrealistic expectations.
Yes. Like maybe they know you work Monday through Friday, but they expect you to answer the call at 7:30 p.m. on a Saturday.
Or have a solution within 10 seconds.
That too. Or people expect you to be their lifeline. If they're telling you, if this doesn't work, I don't know what is. I don't want to be somebody's lifeline. That's not, because if that fails, then everything else falls through. If I'm doing like SEO, that's something that takes 6 months to see results. I don't want somebody that wants instant results because they're not going to see it. It's just not possible to see it anywhere before 3 months. So after you found who you don't want, second step is finding exactly and knowing who you want. How do we do this? Before we think about like demographics and age and their field of business, we need to think about what is the customer's worldview. So what I mean by this is, how do they view the world from their point? Basically, you can't attract two different kinds of people with the same message, with the same marketing. It has to be specific to what they view the world like. I'm going to use an example here. Let's say you are a personal trainer and you have a gym that you're trying to promote. Are there any personal trainers here, by the way? You are? Okay, perfect. So this is for you too. So let's say you're trying to promote this gym. You have two different kinds of customers. On one hand, you have somebody that's severely overweight. On the other hand, you have someone that's trying to lose 20 pounds and get a little more tone. Both could wrongly be perceived as the right customers because both of them need to go to the gym and they want a personal trainer. However, one person is trying to run away from a negative situation in their life. They're severely overweight. The other person is trying to run towards something positive. They're trying to look better or feel better about themselves. So both could be wrongly perceived as, hey, they're both needing the gym, but no. You need to think about how do they view the world. So ask yourself that question before you even look at demographics and anything else. That brings me to step number 3. You found out who you don't want, you found out who you do want. Now find out that person's worldview, but find out their biggest desire. What is it that they're ultimately looking to achieve? And what kind of form is this in? Is it like in a program, in a done-for-you type of service? Is it in a paid membership? Because once you realize the worldview, you might have to change the offers that you've already came up with. I've had to do this actually too, and I feel like I have to do it all the time. It constantly changes as you get to know your customer more and more. So once you figured out what's their biggest desire, then on the flip side, you figure out what is their biggest pain point, what's their biggest fear, what is maybe keeping them up at night, that they're not having a good work-life balance, or maybe what would they actually pay someone else to do for them just to fix that problem in an instant. Ask yourself those questions because that'll help you then take those pain points and tie it into the solution that you can offer to help that. Once you've got your biggest desires, your biggest fears figured out, that brings me to step number 5, which is show up where they are looking. And this one is interesting because as business owners, everyone knows that you need to have like social media. You need to be on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and you need to post on them, but that's all fine. You should be doing that. I'm not saying don't do that, but you should also be showing up on different places that they are. For example, let's say you're a financial advisor and you're targeting families with children that are like in their 30s and 40s. You don't need to just post on your Facebook page. They're not going to find you there. The algorithm just doesn't work that way. Go on Facebook groups, join them, join Nextdoor, go to different types of events, bring your kids there too if you have any. But basically be where they are and engage with them. That way you have something already in common. Once you're already showing up where they're looking, once you're already showing up, Les is giving me like the 2-minute mark there. Once you're showing up where you're looking, that brings me to number 6, which is make sure that you are their kind. And I can't stress this one enough because oftentimes we're so focused on finding the right customers that we forget to also make sure we're the customer's type. So think of it like this. You are applying for a job. I know you're all business owners, but if you were applying for a job, usually you would make your resume sound like the best version of you that's perfect for that job, right? So think of your image, your brand identity, your whole demeanor on your social media, on your website, everywhere that you're at, as your resume, and basically look the part that you're trying to apply for. I can't tell you how many times I've visited business owners' websites and they're selling their image as if they're a high-end service, which they may be. That probably is true. However, it doesn't resonate with it. If you looked at it, you couldn't tell that they were a premier provider because it just doesn't fit. So ask yourself, are you their kind and are they your kind? Once you've done that, that brings me to my final step, number 7, which is to apply these to your existing strategy already. After you've already gone through this process, there's no way that there's nothing in your business that you would have to change. You would have to change something because it's either your distribution channels, your offerings, your pricing, something would have to change. So look through how you're working and change those things. See who you need to partner with. If you need to do sponsor events, such as Nick Shelton did it with this one, do things to get you there and find out where you need to be in order to make that impact in your market. So those are the 7 steps that I recommend on finding the right customers, and hopefully by applying this, the right customers will find you. That's about it, and I'm going to pass this on to, I'm going to pass it on to Les here, who I love, and thank you so much for also doing the intro.
Certainly.
Yeah.
And I'm standing by for more van updates.
Okay, fair enough. I know, I will. I'll send you a newsletter every single.
Outstanding.
Yeah, I got you. Thank you.
He's going to come up and introduce